Welcome back to the Sibling Group Chat. I'm Owen.
And I'm Cassidy.
And today we're back at it with the Odyssey Review, episode 19, Mike Makes Right.
Yes, this is the 20th episode of Adventures in Odyssey, and it originally aired on April 2nd, 1988. However, it is a part of album number 3. I don't really know why. Someone smarter and nerdier than us can probably tell us why this was put in album 3, but I actually kind of like it here. But we'll get into that later. In this episode, after putting Odyssey's biggest bully in his place, young Mike Caldwell discovers the dangers that can result from becoming a hero. And our themes are bullies, pride, and handling power.
Yeah. Just before we get into the episode, when you were talking about albums, I happened to be listening, I think it was yesterday, to album 48 of Adventures in Odyssey, which is all episodes in the 600s. Except for the BTV Redeeming the Season is in that album, and it's in the episodes of the 400s.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know what their reasoning is behind their random, sporadic, not together episodes, but...
Yeah. Like I said, somebody smarter and more Odyssey knowledgeable than us probably knows, but that makes sense why on our Christmas collection that we have, I don't remember what it's called because I think there's other Christmas collections. But anyway, it has Redeeming the Time, but we never got to it in our Odyssey listening. But we got to every other episode on there. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought that was odd, and it made me think of all our questions about episodes, even at the point we're at right now.
Yeah, like we're not even done with album 1, and here we have our first episode of album 3. So
yeah. Anyway, jumping into the episode, no Chris intro, or at least I didn't note one.
No, she sets up the story. She does talk, but she doesn't have her own little storyline.
She says that Mike Caldwell's favorite part of school is recess. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where we start, is at recess at school. The school bully, Billy Barton, is beating up Donnie Holcomb.
Mm-hmm. Who we have decided is the younger brother of Davy Holcomb from episode 1.
Yep.
We don't want any comments or arguments on this decision.
This is our choice and we have the final say.
Yeah. This is our podcast. We can claim what we want.
So yeah, Mike shows up at this fight and his friend Freddy is pretending to be a ringside announcer at this fight. Mm-hmm. And Freddy, throughout the episode, seems to enjoy fighting as long as he's nowhere involved with the fight. He likes to watch and commentate, but does not want to be involved.
No. But he's going to be there.
He will be there, and he will have fun.
Yes.
Yeah, so Mike asks Freddy what's going on, and Freddy explains it, and Mike is like, we've got to stop him, and why is he beating up Donnie? And Freddy's like, why does Billy Barton beat up anybody?
Yeah.
Because he's breathing.
This kid just has this reputation. He just is constantly beating up people.
Apparently.
Which I want to know where all the teachers are at this time. But whatever. That's fine.
It's questionable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Mike decides to stick up for Donnie. So he starts yelling at Billy to stop. And Billy doesn't stop right away until Mike calls him a...
Neanderthal brain.
Yes.
There's some great
I know
insults.
you talked to me.
Yeah. All throughout this, the insults are just like, what in the world? But, okay.
Yeah. But Billy stops and he goes to talk to Mike. And Billy decides that he's going to fight Mike the next day because it seems like it's about the end of recess. Mm-hmm. So he tells Mike to show up the next day with a bun and some mustard.
Yep. Because he's going to turn him into a hamburger.
Yeah. Mike doesn't quite catch, why do I need to bring a bun and some mustard? Yeah. But Billy explains it for him.
Yeah. Billy just seems like the type of kid who's only eating mustard on a hamburger. Who only eats mustard on a hamburger?
Apparently the school bully.
Apparently. No wonder he's such a bad person.
Yeah.
He's eating...
If you just eat some ketchup in his life.
I know. Maybe some mayonnaise.
Yeah, Anyway, so Mike is positive that he's in his last day on Earth now. And him and Freddy, after school, they go to Wit's End. And,
they're getting free milkshakes from Mr. Whitaker because Mike stood up to a bully.
Oh, yeah.
And Freddy's just freeloading, I'm pretty sure.
Freddy gets a free milkshake for his ringside commentating.
Yeah. He doesn't even say...
Freddy is playing the system.
Honestly, he is. Because Mr. Whitaker even says they are getting free milkshakes because Mike stood up to the bully. Like, it's not even like Freddy was like, oh yeah, I was there too, Mr. Whitaker. It's just... Yeah, I don't know. Freddy's just a friend who's there for the benefits of your other friends.
Yeah. He gets free fighting and free milkshakes and doesn't have to do a thing.
Nope, just be there.
Yeah, Whit tells him, he's talking to Mike now because Mike explained what was going on, and Whit tells him that he doesn't need to stand up to Billy. He doesn't think that they should necessarily fight him. Mike says he doesn't want to go through with it. He wants to move to the North Pole and hire a bodyguard.
Yeah. Drastic measures,
Which,
but, it would work.
Yeah. Well, Whit tells him that you shouldn't necessarily want to fight with Billy, but you should want to stand up to him. And if fighting's unavoidable, he tells Mike to remember the story of David and Goliath. Mm-hmm. He tells him the reference of that story, and Mike is like, thanks, I'll have that read at my funeral.
Yeah, he's just so dismal at this point, because there's that line, and then a little earlier, when Mr. Whitaker's telling him, like, maybe you should try to get out of the fight, Mike's like, no, better to let it happen while I'm prepared to die.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike is sure he's going to die. So the next day, he tries to avoid going to school. Mm-hmm. His mom forces him to go to school.
Yeah.
He tries to say that he's sick. She says he either has to go to school or the doctor, and so since he's not actually sick, he decides he better just go to school.
Yeah.
But in that conversation, his mother calls him by his full name, which is Michael James Caldwell, which I just thought it was funny that his middle name was James, because in a different radio drama, Down Gilead Lane, there's a Michael James Morrison in the Morrison family, and so, I don't know, it just made me think of that. I've been listening to some Down Gilead Lane recently.
Yeah, I thought...
Great audio drama.
Yes. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And I thought the same thing when I heard his name. Like, immediately in my head, I just heard, Michael James! Yeah.
Michael Morrison, how do you find all those buttons?
It's a citrus, see? And here we are quoting other audio dramas in our Odyssey, but yeah.
Yes. If you've never listened to Down Gilead Lane, see if you can come across some and listen to it. If you have, comment below and tell us what you think of it.
Yeah, and if you want us to review it, because I could see that in our future. And it wouldn't take near as long as reviewing Odyssey.
No, there's only 12 albums of that.
Yeah, only 12. Anyway, Mike does end up...
So yes, Mike reluctantly goes to school, and it seems he finds Freddy, it seems right before recess, and Freddy's like, Billy hasn't been at school all day, you might be in the clear. And Mike is starting to get his hopes up. He's like, maybe he's sick, maybe he had to go to the doctor or something, maybe, and then Billy shows up for recess, and Mike's like, maybe he was just playing hooky.
Yeah. So, do you think, like, Mike really was, like, not at school this whole time? Or were they in different classes? Like, is he older? Or did he...
You mean Billy?
Yeah, Billy. Did he just, like, show up for recess?
I get the impression that he literally didn't come to school until recess.
Sounds about right. Just coming to school when it fits his purposes. Mm-hmm. He's like the precursor to Rodney Rathbone.
Yeah. I was thinking like Rodney Rathbone or Rusty, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they go up, they head out to recess, and Mike tries to get out of the fight still. He's like, Billy, have you ever heard the story of David and Goliath? And Billy's like, that's a new rock band, isn't it? It's like,
no.
Never mind.
It doesn't even sound like a rock group name to me, but what do I know about rock bands, so.
Right. So yeah, then they get ready for the fight. Freddy begins his ringside announcing, which he is again doing. He introduces them as Magnificent Mike and something. I don't remember what he calls Billy.
I don't remember. But yeah, there's like a crowd of children gathering. You just hear the
Yeah,
noises.
I think Freddy might be collecting bets on these fights. Like he's running a gambling ring for recess fighting.
Honestly, he's just making bank on recess fighting, and then he doesn't have to use this money on anything because he gets free milkshakes when Mike is an awesome person.
Exactly.
He's
just sitting in his room with piles of
yeah.
fight money.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so the fight starts, and first Mike runs away. Billy catches him, grabs him by the sleeve of his shirt, and rips his shirt.
Before the fight starts, Mike hands Freddy his glasses. Or Freddy maybe offers to hold his glasses for him.
No, Billy tells him to take off his glasses, I think.
That's what it is. But my thought here was Mike is giving Steven Nedorozic because, like, he takes off his glasses and then he does his cool fight stuff. Not even being able to see what he's doing.
Becomes a hero.
Yes, he goes viral in Odyssey Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But yeah, so after that, the fight starts, and Billy catches Mike, tears his shirt. And it's at this point that Mike decides he actually does want to fight because he is now ticked off because Billy tore his shirt.
That was the wrong move because his grandma gave him this shirt for Christmas.
And apparently his mom is going to be super mad when he comes home with a torn shirt.
So
according to ringside Freddy, we find that Mike, after he has his shirt torn, just starts wildly throwing punches. Freddy says with his eyes closed. And it seems like he's trying for a while before he actually connects with Billy's nose. Gives Billy a bloody nose, and Billy Barton is on the ground crying. And he's apparently the first kid who's ever even landed a punch on Billy Barton.
Yeah. I guess all the other kids are just letting themselves be beat up, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. But yeah, Billy's like, I'm going to tell my dad on you. And Mike's like, wait till I tell my mom you tore my shirt.
Yeah.
Mike doesn't even care about the fight. He just cares about his torn shirt.
He wasn't going to fight the bully for his bullying, but he'll fight him for his torn shirt. Like, I'm questioning Mike's priorities at this point. And why did he wear his favorite shirt on fight day? Like, wear something else.
Well, yeah, ringside Freddy here tries to get an interview with Mike after the fight, and he says, like, you just beat Billy Barton. What do you have to say? He tore my shirt.
Yeah, furious.
Yeah, so then we return to post-fight wits end after school.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we know, there's no free milkshakes involved today.
No.
But Freddy is telling Whit all about the fight, and Mike doesn't really want to talk about it. He's not.
He's staying pretty humble.
It's done, point. And he doesn't really want to talk about it.
He's staying pretty humble at this point.
Yes. But then the more Freddy talks him up and the more Freddy talks about it, then Mike starts to get his big head like, yeah, it was pretty great, wasn't it? Yeah, I beat up the school bully. Mm-hmm. They're calling me Magnificent Mike. This can stick. And so, then we find a few weeks later, Mike is asked to come into the principal's office, who we find out wasn't in town when Mike and Billy fought. So I don't know if there was just, like, no school discipline if the principal's gone. Like, it's just you get free reign or whatever.
The principal's gone, the teachers are like, who cares what happens?
Yeah. The principal's the one who monitors recess, apparently.
Something like that. I also found it a little interesting, like, the principal was voiced by Walker Edmondson, who voices Tom Riley. I don't know, it was just kind of funny to hear him. Like, his voice was done differently, but, yeah. It wasn't like Tom Riley was the principal or anything. That would have been a whole nother story.
Yeah. Yeah, the principal asked Mike to come in because he's been hearing about a new school bully. And Mike's like, oh, and you called me in because you want me to take care of him? And he's like, in a way. The new bully I've been hearing about is someone the kids call Magnificent Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
And Mike goes like, "Hey, that's
Mm-hmm.
me." Yeah, the principal tells him to watch his attitude. He tells him pride comes before a fall, and he's kind of telling him like, get control of yourself and start thinking like a rational human
Mm-hmm.
being, or or we are going to have some
Yeah.
problems.
And I feel like at this point, Mike
Mike,
wasn't really like beating up people, but I think just like his attitude was very mean, or like, don't mess with me or else, like, you never know what I might do to you. And so the principal's basically trying to calm down before you get a whole lot worse.
yeah, but yeah, after the principal's done talking, Mike's like, "Are we done?" Didn't hear a word of it. The principal's like, "He didn't hear a word I just
No.
said."
What he did hear, though, is that the principal said, I've been hearing that it was just a lucky punch. Mike just latches onto that. He's like, it was not
Yeah,
a lucky punch.
yeah. So yeah, he goes to tell Freddy about it, and Freddy agrees with the principal that it was just a lunky punch. And Mike has such a big head that like he can't even think about it reasonably anymore. Like immediately after the fight, I think even Mike would have acknowledged that it was a lucky
Yeah.
punch. But yeah, so he storms off from Freddy because Freddy is on the principal's side, and bumps into a kid and knocks his books down. Mike's like, "Why don't you watch where you're going?" And the kid's like, "I was. You ran into me. You should pick up my books." And Mike's like, "No, I'm not going to pick up your books." The kid's like, "Pick them up or I'll punch you in the stomach." And Mike's like, "You don't want to fight me. I fought Billy Barton." And the kid's like,
Who?
"Who?" Yeah. Which, we find out that it's this kid's first day at school, so it's understandable he doesn't know who Billy Barton is. And, Billy Barton probably wasn't even there
Probably.
that day, so
He's been playing hooky ever since.
yeah. But so Mike refuses to pick up the books, and this kid punches him in the stomach. And then Freddy quickly comes to check on Mike,
Because
who tells him to
he's
get
got a new
lost,
money making
basically.
scheme.
So then he goes to talk to the new kid. He's calling him stomach punching Sam. This kid's name is
Yeah.
Sam. And I get the impression that Freddy is already booking fights and having people place bets for new fights with stomach punching
I'm sure.
Sam.
Just like instantly, he's like, I can do things with this guy. I also feel like, I don't know what you think. Does
Yeah.
Sam sound way older to you? Like, I feel like Sam sounded like a high schooler. And these kids are,
Yeah, he did. He has an older
yeah, these
voice.
are elementary kids because they're talking about being at Odyssey Elementary, but like, yeah. Maybe he was a new sixth grader or something, but he sounded really old.
Uh huh. Yeah, so Mike said that he wants to be alone. He told Freddy that, and after school he goes to Wits
Well,
End.
before,
Still at school, he's like, I know there's some lesson I'm supposed to learn from all
so
this.
naturally, he goes to Wits End, which I feel like is just the writers kind of making fun of themselves at this point. Like, because the kid is even like, I know I need to learn a lesson. Guess I'll head to Wits End next.
Yeah. So yeah, Wit tells him. He goes to ask Wit about what happened, and Wit's like, "Well, there's always another tough guy, and you shouldn't try to be a tough guy. There's a difference between fighting or sticking up for someone out of necessity and doing it out of pride just to look cool."
We should also point out.
And Mike's like,
I was just to say we should also point out that Mike did get another milkshake. There's an inordinate amount of milkshakes in this episode.
"Yeah." But yeah, Mike says like stuff like this only happens to kids if they're supposed to learn something.
Which again,
And so
I feel like the writer's poking fun.
yeah, Wit explains that anybody can learn lessons, but then he talks about how pride goes before a fall, and Mike actually mentions that Mr. Whitaker's impressed that he knows that verse, but Mike didn't realize it was from the Bible.
He just heard the principal use it. But Wit tells him that it's a paraphrase of Proverbs 16:18. Like that's not word for word what the verse says, but that's where that idea comes from.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it for the episode. In the Chris outro, she says that sometimes you have to learn things the hard way, like how not to be prideful. Yeah, that about does it. Any final thoughts?
I had a few voice acting things to note, which kind of relates to why I think this episode fit better here than in album 3. Because Mike is voiced by Dave Griffin, who later voices Jimmy. And where this episode is placed in album 3, the Barkleys have already been established. I think they've only had one episode, so it wasn't necessarily that they were already established as a recurring family, but it feels weird because we know later Jimmy becomes this long recurring character for him to play Jimmy and then Mike and then go back to Jimmy. So that's part of why I felt it fit better before. Also, I think Freddy is the same. Freddy from Life at the Party, the voice is the same. The personality feels different to me. I don't know what you think there. Like, we've had Freddy's before, and I think this has been the voice of Freddy before. I think it's later the voice of the kid in Camp Waternut who writes the diary. But yeah, another reason I feel like this episode fits better here is because we're still in the era of primarily one-time kids. Whereas by the time we get to album 3, there's still some one-time kids, but I think it's starting to be more recurring characters like Jack, Lucy, Jimmy. So, I never thought it felt weird where it was before, but now hearing it here, I'm like, this makes sense too. So, I don't know, what did you think about it being here?
I really didn't have a problem with it either way. I think it fits fine here. But, yeah.
Yeah. So, our next episode is an Officer Harley episode, and it is The Case of the Missing Train Car, which I haven't listened to, but I'm fairly certain I know which episode it later got turned into. So this will be another contrast and compare.
Yeah. But I guess that about does it for today's episode. Yeah, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, subscribe on YouTube. Or Spotify, yeah. Yeah, comment below any random comments, down Gilead Lane comments. Yeah, and we'll see you next time.